So let's say we finish our high-res model and we are ready to create our low-res model. Now in order to do that we need to delete all the surface features. So first let's open our high-res model, and you want to open the assembly which is the root file, so the assembly which contains all the other parts. So that one is called cockpit in this case. Open that one. There's a few things to keep in mind when you are navigating the viewport using a 3D mouse like I am using. First you want to set the view to perspective, otherwise you cannot move inside of geometry. Second, if you move forward a lot, then at some point the camera will stop moving like this. I'm still moving the mouse, but it stops moving forward. In that case you just release the 3D mouse, move sideways or rotate and then sideways. It's a bit quirky, but eventually you can move inside. There you go. So here you can see the entire model, and you can already see that if you would bring this model into 3D Studio Max in its entirety, then it will just grind to a halt because there's way too much detail. Now the reason this still works fine in Inventor is because it uses dynamic level of detail. So as you move around, it increases or reduces the resolution of the geometry so that you still get a smooth frame rate. I'm using this model here, I'm recording this on a very weak laptop. It's just got a simple Intel video card in it, but it still works quite well. So inside of Inventor this is fine, but we really need to reduce the detail so it can be used inside of a game or inside of 3D Studio Max. Okay, so in order to delete all the surface detail, you want to copy the project, but not in a normal way, because if you copy the project like just copying the files in Windows Explorer, this is going to create problems because the assemblies, they are linked to file locations, and if you start modifying parts inside of an assembly or opening parts via an assembly, then you think you are modifying the file you are working with, but in fact you are modifying the original. So you definitely don't want to do that. So in order to prevent that, we need to copy it in a different way, and I'll show you how that's done. So first you open the root assembly file like we've done, then go to Assemble, the ribbon here, and then you select Copy. Click on Copy. Then you select the root file in the Explorer right there. And then you have to wait a bit, because with every large assembly, most of these steps of copying the files is going to take a long time. So I'm going to pause this recording and come back when we're done. Okay, so now it's done processing, and then just click on Next, and we're done. Okay, and there are a few things we have to change here. First, you select Open in New Window. Then you want to create a new folder. So this is the original folder we are working with, called Inventor. And then just create a new folder, an empty folder with the same name, but with the underscore low at the end. So this will go Inventor and underscore low. Then in the address bar on the top here, just click on it. First select the folder, then click on the address bar. It will change to a valid path like there, and just press Ctrl+C to copy it. Then you go to the file location column right there. At the top source path, you click on it, the left mouse button, and then with the right mouse button, you click on it and select Replace. Then the Replace with drop down here, you just want to select the text here and then press Ctrl+V to copy the path we selected earlier. And then select replace all. Again, this is going to take a while, and I'm going to pause the recording and come back when we're done. And we're done. Next, you want to change the suffix here. It's already at what I want it to be, _low. I think the default, it says something else, so you make sure you want to set this to _low, and then make sure that suffix is selected right there. If you do change the suffix, then you have to click the apply button first, then click OK. Now this step is going to take a very long time because it's recreating every single part and creating a new part, giving this a suffix _low, and it can take a couple of hours to complete depending on how big your assembly is. So I'm going to pause this recording and come back when we're done. So the processing is done, and now we are ready to create our low-res model. First, you want to create a project file, and in order to do that, first close all the open files, then go to File, Manage, Projects, and create a new one. Next, give it a name. So we'll call this cockpit _low, and select the directory. And select the directory you created, which is this one. This one contains all our files. Select OK. You can see if you select the directory here, this was the original, and here is the copied project, and you see all the parts, they have an _low suffix now. So back to our project, it all looks good, and next, and finish. Now you can see that this project is now selected as the active one. Click done, and now open the copied project we created first, so that'll be cockpit _low then. So now you can see this resolve link dialog box, and what's happened that there is a mirrored part here which has been copied, so it's got an _low suffix now, and this mirrored part, it cannot find any other parts which it refers to. So you will have to show it where it is. Now you have to be very careful which directory you use. These are the original files, and you never want to use any original file when you are resolving these links. So select the low resolution directory here, and then look for the project. Well, it's exactly the same name, it's just got an _low suffix, so add that, and you want to select that and copy it, Ctrl+C, because you have to do this action quite a lot. Then you go open. Next one also, add it, click open. Oh, wrong one, cancel. So first you have to select the low resolution directory, and then click open, etc., etc. You have to do this for quite a few files depending on the design of your project, but once you're done, then you're ready to go. So I've finished resolving all the links, and here is our copied high resolution project, which is now turned into a low resolution project. Oh, and by the way, what I didn't mention before is that once you finish copying the project, you need to save the assembly, and it will automatically select the _low directory because that's what you have set up before. So how do we change this into a low resolution model? Well, that's easy. Just open, start with a part. Let's start with this part here. Open these assemblies and go down all the way to like a single part. So let's say we have this button here, and we want to turn this into a low-res model. What we do is we delete as much surface detail as possible. So anything that can be replaced by a texture, we're going to delete. Mostly those are fillets and some extrusions and things like that. And when we're done with that, we are going to delete some of the surfaces which are not visible. Right, so let's start. So here you can see some fillets which can be deleted. In fact, we can just go through the feature tree and search for fillets also. Right there, there's one. And just select them. You can do a couple at a time, that's fine. Right click and delete. It will come up with warning messages, and these are not really relevant, except that you don't want to delete features which depend on it, because you may or may not want to keep them. So you just deselect everything, keep the sketches, it doesn't matter, and click OK. Right, now those fillets are deleted, and these can be replaced with a texture. So let's continue. Find a couple of more fillets. Yeah, these can be deleted also. How about that one? That's a mirrored fillet, so that's fine. This one can be deleted. That one also. That one there. This one here. And these fillets there. Okay, delete those. What else? This extrusion here, there's no need for that. So let's get rid of that one. Let's try to find it. Okay, here it is. And that one there. So select those and delete. Deselect everything here. Okay. Right. There's another extrusion right there, so we can delete that. Let's find it. Ah, there it is. And what's the other one? I'm not sure. Okay, so let's delete this. Okay, there seems to be another extrusion right there. Maybe this one delete. Okay, there we go. If these sketches are bothering you, you can just turn the visibility off. Find in browser where it is, this one here, right click visibility and get rid of it. But it's not that's not really necessary. Okay, what else? The fillets on top, we can delete those also. Let's find that. Oh, in fact, this is not a fillet. It looks like it, but I just used a sweep to make that one. In fact, we can delete the sculpt also. Not sure which one it is. Oh, this one here. So just delete that. There you go. And get rid of this surface here because it's in the way. Right. I'm going to leave these shapes at the side of it, because if it's viewed from the top, then it looks a bit weird if you remove that. Okay, so let's say we're happy with this shape right there, and then we can delete the surface at the bottom because that's never visible. In fact, this surface right there is never visible either, and just delete the surface using this button right there. Okay, now once we've done this, the object is turned into a surface and not a solid. So if you then later want to make some modifications, then first you will have to move the end of part file up so it's turn it back into a solid. So this is our part. So this is now the low res part. You can save it and go back to the assembly. There it is. And basically just repeat this process for every single part. Now you can imagine this can take a very long time, but that's the way it's done. Deleting surfaces or deleting features is not the only way we can reduce detail. You can also change the shape. For example, take this screw here. So first we can delete the fillet, sure. And this extrusion, no need for that. But the top here, there's nothing to delete because it's made from a revolution. Okay, no problem. So let's open the sketch. And we can just modify the sketch right there so it suits our needs. You can either make a line from there to there and down, or just make it a bit shorter. It kind of depends on the model. So in this case, we might want to make it a little bit shorter. Just we can create some new dimensions. So this is actually 2 lines. So you can create some new dimensions so it still stays within the parameters. And here, create a new line from there to there. And then stick those together. Finish. And now this is our new screw. Don't forget to delete the bottom because that's never in view, and we don't want to draw polygons which we can never see. Okay, save this. And back in our assembly, there you can see that's our screw right there. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind that this is a destructive workflow. You cannot really undo all the steps you've done. So if in hindsight you want to change something, you might have to re-import the part and do it again, or just change the geometry yourself. One other thing, if you go back to the assembly here, then you might have issues with constraints. Like if you move this one, there's an error popping up saying the following errors occurred. Relationship was placed with respect to geometry that is no longer available. Yeah, because we've deleted a bunch of surfaces and these parts were placed according to those surfaces and now they don't exist anymore. I wouldn't bother trying to fix those. That's going to take a lot of time, and that's not really necessary. What you don't want to do is move these parts like this, because that's going to create baking errors. So you can always just right click it and then select grounded. So at least it's fixed now, you cannot move it. And one other thing, if you are working with parts which you deleted a lot of features, such as this one here, this button, you might think, oh, instead of deleting features, I can just suppress it instead. But that doesn't always work. If you suppress features, then it sometimes suppresses everything which is below it as well. It depends on the structure of your model. So this may or may not work, but either way, it's not going to be a workflow which you can later undo. So we might as well delete it. There's one other thing you have to keep in mind, and that is that if you are deleting surfaces from parts which are mirrored, like these two, then the part will disappear. And in order to prevent that, you first have to suppress the link between the two and then delete the surface. Let me show you what I mean. So here's the panel, and if we open that one, then we can, for example, delete this face here. But then if you go to the mirrored part right there and click on update, it will disappear. So that's not what we want. So instead, what you want to do is first suppress the link at the mirrored part. Just right click it and then select suppress link with base component. And now you can delete a surface, or delete a face, and it should not affect the mirrored part right there. Here you can also, and then you have to delete the face manually at the other side right there. There you go. So that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.